In this video, we will be talking about the use of the VLS layout system, which is popularized by Storm. So if you go onto their website or onto their social media platforms, you will see a lot of the layouts that are being used will use this technique. Okay, so in order to do this technique, you will need certain things. Okay, first of all, a bowling ball, a grease pencil, also the new Storm arc ruler, which is something that every Storm rep will have. Okay, really neat tool for that. Another cool tool that you can use is going to be the Versa tool, which also has a pin on it. Okay, so we'll be using a combination of these two. And also, if you want something also budget friendly, just a regular steel span ruler will suffice as well. Just a little bit more clunky to use, but however still very good. So with this system, we will be drawing a lot of semicircles onto the ball. So you could also use your Prosect, which is also another tool that we're going to need to draw our center line, midline. However, it is a little bit harder to draw semicircles with this. That is why these tools become really handy. Okay, so when looking at a VLS layout, okay, we will be looking at the three numbers that will be indicated, the first of which will be the distance between the pin and the PAP. Okay, so again, going back to that, this will dictate flare. Okay, the second will be the distance between the mass bias and the PAP. That will dictate how early the ball gets into a roll. Okay, so basically that measurement is very equivalent to the first measurement in a dual angle layout. Okay, so basically those two first numbers are reversed if you want to compare VLS to dual angle. And the pin buffer is basically the height or the distance between the pin and the VAL. Okay, so the shorter that distance, the closer it is to the VAL. Okay, so this is the equivalent to the VAL to pin degree. So in the examples that we will be using in this tutorial, we will be using a PAP of 5 by 1 up, and we will be using a traditional layout, which is the most common one that you will see on the Storm website, is 4 by 4 by 2. So we will be going through this whole entire process from start to finish. Okay, I am going to be showing a symmetrical and asymmetrical ball for just the first step, and after that I will continue on the symmetrical ball. So the first step will be to draw a line from the pin through the CG on the symmetrical ball. And what we will be doing here is putting the 0 on the pin and marking the end of the Prosect, which is 6 3/4 from the pin, which will now become our theoretical mass bias. Okay? If we have a asymmetrical ball, we will just be drawing a line from the pin through the mass bias, and we will be using that actual mass bias and not a 6 3/4 mark. Okay, so now that I have said that, we will now focus just on the symmetrical ball. Okay, so first step, we will take the layout that we have suggested, which is 4 by 4 by 2. Okay, and we will start by drawing a 4-inch arc. Put the pin of the arc ruler onto the pin. There you go, double pin. And we will go 4 inches, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And here I will draw a semicircle, okay? So basically this, all along this line is 4 inches from the pin to the PAP, okay? And we will do the same thing here on the mass bias. So I will put the pin on the mass bias here, and I will put my pencil in the 4-inch mark, and I will draw another semicircle. Right now where these two lines intersect, this is now our PAP, okay? Lastly, we will draw the last number in the layout, which is the 2. Okay, so 4 by 4 by 2. So from the pin again, I will be drawing a 2-inch arc. Okay, try to make this one a little bit longer. Okay, now we are done with our layout. So here we have 4 by 4 by 2. Okay, so now we have drawn this. Okay, we need to now find our grip center. Okay, so how do we do that? We work backwards. So first we will draw our VAL. So what goes through the PAP is the vertical axis line. And basically this 2-inch line here is the pin buffer, which is the distance from the pin to the vertical axis line. Okay, so what we want to do here is get the tangent, which is the most outside part of this semicircle. Okay, so I'm going to be lining up my Prosect to go to the outside edge of that and go across the PAP. Okay, so I'm lining those two up, and this now becomes my VAL. Okay, now that I have my VAL, I know that positive axis point was 5 by 1 up in this example. So what you want to do is read this backwards. So instead of going up, I now need to go down. So from my PAP, I will now measure 1 inch down. And then from here, I will draw a perpendicular line. Okay, so put my 0 there and make sure I have 0 degrees here. This makes a perpendicular line. And on this line, I want to measure 5 inches from my PAP. Okay, so that is my horizontal axis coordinate. And then from here, I will then do another perpendicular line, which will become my center line. And this will indicate my grip center. So I have a spot for my fingers and my thumb. And this is an example of a 4x4x2 VLS layout for a PAP of 5x1 up for a right-handed bowler. You want to do something for a lefty, we take all of these lines, we put them on the left side of the ball, and we work everything in the reverse fashion. Okay, make sure to read your PAP backwards. So if it's down, you're going to go up. In this case, it was up, so we go down from our PAP 1 inch, and then we go across 5 inches. Always keep in mind, in either this system or any other system, that your VAL, midline, and center lines are always perpendicular to one another. So once we find our PAP, we are able to go backwards. Okay. If you want to know more about how to get these numbers, the 4x4x2, please check out Storm's websites, Storm, Rotogrip, and 900 Global. And they also have really good pictograms there that will explain how to do this and also what those types of layouts will offer for your bowlers. Okay, so again, if you missed a part of this, please rewind to this part that you missed if I went too fast. But again, this is the VLS technique, a really quick and easy technique using the Storm arc ruler and a Pro Sec.